Curious about creativity in beer brewing in Israel? It's exactly what we're going to be looking at in this week's episode of The Jewish Drinking Show, bringing L'chaim to life. IO background of Schmulz. Let's
Yeah, a little background.
I also started as a home brewer. I think you can say 20 years ago now. I actually started with mead when I was
really?
12 because I grew up in the periphery.
Okay.
In prison, he was making
Yeah.
yeah. We called it mead. It was a sugar packet mead.
As a mead judge, I don't know how you call the mead made in toilets. I don't know. In toilet bowls.
There's got to be a word for it.
Yeah, anyway,
That's definitely a terminology.
As I was 12 and feeling Viking-y, I made a batch of very bad mead and started growing that from there. And when I got to the ripe age of 16, I heard a news item about making beer. So we heard about hops, kshut, in Hebrew. What's kshut? How do we get that? How do we make it? It sounds uncomfortable. Let's make it. And we were basically three friends. We were at high school back then. And we started making beer, and it escalated. Festivals very soon, also producing beer at home. Then probably illegally selling it, but it was always kind of a gray area. And
it wasn't a gray area. We were just breaking the law.
No, because festivals weren't selling beer; they were selling vouchers. Come on,
Officer, this is a gray area.
The vouchers themselves were gray. Is what I'm saying.
It was gray color.
It's up for Knesset debate.
Anyways, I got to the age of 18, and it was a crossroads for me, and I had to decide whether I become an alcoholist or make a business out of it. So I did both.
That's a great word, by the way. Alcoholist? I love that term.
Yeah, but actually...
It's not as good as you think it is. It's Hebrew for alcoholic.
Oh, okay. It's not as fun.
No, but anyways, I did some other things. I had 1 year in the clean rooms of the biopharmaceutical industry. I did like 2 semesters in the Open U for biology. I was really interested in all of that.
Yeast.
Yeah, and fermentation and whatnot. I had the culinary orientation of making beer from when I was even younger. And we were talking when I was about 20 now. Then I left that. I opened Pasta Factory, which was actually located 2 stories above us.
Yeah.
With my brother. Didn't go so well, but it was a very fun, interesting 6 years. We learned a lot. And it wasn't really what I wanted to do. Afterwards, I started working at the bar, ending up having a partnership in craft beer-oriented bar with the bar's owner that I was working for.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my last 8 years. Afterwards...
Was that Biratino or a different
That is
Biratino.
That was and still is called Biratino.
Mm-hmm.
And...
Were you at Glenn's before Biratino?
I was working at the Glen Bar for 1 year, Glen Whiskey Bar in Jerusalem. I think the better part of my adult life, 8 years just doing that, Biratenu.
Wow.
We were selling homebrew equipment and classes and craft beer festivals and a bottle shop and a bar and just whatever you can pour out of the bottle, we were charging money for.
So how did you grew that though? It did not start with a bottle shop and a homebrew shop, right?
Yeah.
It was just a bar and then you advanced it?
So, my partner back then, Leon, which was my boss, I was working for him at the bar, and I knew he always wanted to make craft beer. He wanted to really push the emphasis on the Israeli beers, the Israeli small scene, the things that you cannot buy for, to give stage to the things you cannot usually see. We started brewing back then a beer for the Glen Bar, for the Glen Whiskey Bar. And then we decided, okay, we need a bigger place. We need a place just to make that. And we thought, okay, we found a place. We're going to have brewing ingredients. We might as well sell them. We're going to have a shop. We might as well put a few shelves and a few taps. I think it was 1 month from planning just to have this place open. Wow. At the end of the 1 year that I was working for the Glen Bar, it was like, okay, shoot, 7 years 80 years almost, and it was just like this huge slide. We had no idea what's happening, and we grew so fast. But it was turbulent times and COVID. For me personally, it brought a lot of challenge, but also on a negative side, some depression. And I try to figure out, what are we doing? Where am I doing this? Actually, the good part of it, it's cleaned a lot of space for us, a lot of time for us to brew experimental beers, which were just, people were going crazy for. We actually, we sold a batch of beer in 12 hours. Yeah, it was called Ugi Pletzet, the Cookie Monster. I think it was Israel's first pastry stout. It was 13% ABV, rum, Oreo, vanilla.
Wow.
Have you tasted it recently?
Not recently, but people still send me messages that they hate it and they like it. And nobody knows what's happening.
It must be getting better. I bet it's improving.
People just, actually, there is a black market for this beer. Yeah.
Still out there, right?
He's not joking.
I'm not joking. I'm not joking.
It's almost like X-Files. Like, the truth is out there.
I think
this original pastry stout is out there. Okay.
I think someone bought like 5 cases, and now he's like,
that's why he sold out in 12 hours.
Yeah. No, but
it was really Israel's first ever pastry
crazy,
stout.
And it gave
Schmulz, it was really Israel's first ever pastry stout.
I'm not sure, but off the head like that, I think it was.
Wow.
It was the first imperial
produced.
Yeah. First imperial.
Did it have
pastry
lactose
stout.
in it?
No.
Oh no.
It's another topic actually. It's hard brewing with lactose in Israel, not because it's hard brewing with lactose.
Because of the heat?
It's because of the kosher certificates and making your line kosher. So we adopted to brewing mostly without. Some breweries had used some.
I thought you were going to say, oh, there's so many Ashkenazim who are lactose intolerant. But
it's also about the market, but it starts with being kosher. It is relevant for us, but it was
I mean, look, that's my struggle. I love beer, and even having a taster of 4 ounces of a lactose beer just messes with my stomach.
So,
and I'm not even a crazy lactose intolerant person like other people I know.
So there you go. Even if not, they're usually more gimmicky, if not played very well. After a while, I found myself doing more and more of the beer aspects that I don't like, and more in the bar front, which I was trying to go away from, and more to the brewing behind the scenes. And I couldn't make that for myself. So
wait, so when I met you in August 2021, where was that in that trajectory? Because as much as we would like to imagine COVID was over, it was not fully over by then.
So it was a huge question mark. And these days I was asking myself every day, what is happening? What will the future hold? What are you going to do about yourself? What are you going to do about this place? What are you going to do in general? I think this thought process evolved to figuring out and distilling the act that I want to focus on, which is the creative side of brewing, which was later became relevant for me.
So that was catalyzed through COVID. It was catalyzed through COVID?
For sure. It's, as Ephraim said, it's a hard scene as it is because I forgot to say, after the first half of Beertenu's life, we moved to a bigger place with a kitchen. So it was also a restaurant on top of everything. I must admit, it just wasn't for me.
I just want to talk a little bit about Schmulz's brand from the side. So first of all,
as an observer.
Yeah, as an observer. Maybe more than an observer at a point. The brand that Schmulz created was a brand of extreme exploration. It was and still is, to whatever extent it's around, one of the most exciting brands in the industry because Schmulz had no limits to his creativity, and he would go as far as reason would dictate and then go well past that. And he was brewing these beers at other breweries, because at this point Schmulz was at Beertenu, he didn't have a brewery, but also here. We made a lot of the beers. He would come here to brew the beers as a client.
So we were not at Beertenu.
All of the Schmulz brand beers were brewed at Hatch.
Really?
The Beertenu brand was brewed all over, including Hatch. All of Schmulz beer was brewed at Hatch. My philosophy, and some people, they tell me it's not something I should admit, but I'm really honest with
Go for it.
with the process I was going through. And I thought about like, okay, people like the gimmicks. I want to explore new things. Let's try to make like shenanigans, just pure shenanigans, in order to create a market, and then start maybe making a more reasonable beers, more cohesive beers.
Yeah.
More accessible beers in flavor and cost. And I started getting there, and right now I'm experiencing kind of an internal turbulence with what is beer for me.
Wait, still now, or was that during the pandemic?
It was after the pandemic.
Oh, after. Oh.
Yeah. Actually, the Schmulz brand officially as a commercial beer brand only exists for a year and a half now, which is not a lot.
Wait, when did it start?
Schmulz was a homebrew for a lot of time.
So a beer we haven't gotten to yet is your Stone beer. I had that in August 2021. It was at Beeratino. It was sold at Beeratino.
Okay. So my bad. I lost track of time after COVID.
I didn't mean to correct you.
But no.
Okay.
It's quite alright. It was then like the first release.
Just that summer?
It was the first release of Schmulz commercially brewed beer.
The mushroom one?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you might think it's a weird beer to do as a first brew, and you're right.
Extremely weird beer.
And I'm saying that was my philosophy. Like,
but you love it.
On their
but you love it, just like that pastry cookie monster one.
Yeah.
Even if you hate it, you still love it.
and it was like, and now moving to Hatch after what I've seen and done through Beeratino is a complete. It's not like a cycle, but it's a complete journey for me. Like trying to figure out what is beer, what is weird beers place in markets.
Yeah.
Is it sustainable? Is it something just worth being in its own? Is it worth exploration?
Hey there. I hope you're enjoying this episode with Shmuel and Ephraim, which we recorded at a brewery in Jerusalem. Well, next week we're going to be looking at a distillery in Jerusalem. Here's a sneak peek.
Alcohol takes you where you want it to take you before you've had your first drink, which is why the rabbis felt so comfortable prescribing alcohol on Shabbos, Pesach, etc., because they already told you where it's supposed to take you. So what I always tell people is, think about good things. Think about things you could do to make the world better, or your family, or your marriage, or your kids, or anything, before you have that first drink, so that you can protect your spirit by making sure the alcohol takes you in a good place rather than a bad place.
I hope you're enjoying that sneak peek into a distillery in Jerusalem. Now back into this episode with Shmuel and Ephraim.
Amazing about the Schmulz brand was it was so clearly doing something, right? Like what? Like let's just take a look at the beers here. Okay, so this is the Schmulz
Stein beer.
I'm just gonna read it for you.
Okay, that's
5G stoned imperial roasted mushroom Stein beer. So Stein beer was a technique where they would boil stones and like roast stones and dump them into the beer to caramelize and boil beers historically. Shmuel obviously came here and did that overnight with setting up a row of barbecues outside to heat up the stones.
Wow.
And then clearly felt that needs to go.
Heating up stones is no easy feat.
This is a pizza earth theory. Imperial pineapple goza on pizza Lichtenheimer.
I mean, just an imperial ghost sounds like a contradiction.
What's the piz?
It sounds like contradiction right there, the first two words.
I think it's a typo. For me, it was actually very much answering a need in the market for a specific kind of gimmick. It was my answer to some questions. When are you going to brew this and that? And it's like, okay, I'm going to piss some people off. And, they say pineapple. You say pineapple doesn't go on pizza. So I make a pineapple goes on pizza. It started with the 5G stoned, which was my way to deal with all of the aftermath of COVID.
You processed that? I'm still waiting to process that.
No, we're doing it now.
This is my story. I'm trying, yeah. For me, it was
When was that released? When was that Mushroom Stone beer released? I had it the first week of August 2021.
In a meal or towards the end of COVID lockdowns in Israel, which I have no idea when it was.
I have no idea.
I lost all track of time, and this is actually a part of the story. So in the name of the beer, we'll go end to beginning here.
10%?
It's lighter.
Yeah.
It is literally lighter. Because the other one's what, 10.5, 11?
I think it was 10.2.
Which one's lighter?
10.2. So this
Yeah.
is 0.2% less alcohol. So good
This
job
is lighter. This is
on picking
lighter.
the lighter beer.
That's right, we're ascending.
It's a light beer.
This is lighter.
Actually, it has like, I don't know, 30% oats, which makes it very, very creamy.
Oh, you got oats in this?
Yeah, lots.
Yes.
It is a ridiculous
Okay,
beer, but I
he's-
love it.
Imperial Pineapple Ghost, which already... Imperial and Ghost, that sound ridiculous. What is a Lichtenheiner?
It's smoked sour. Lichtenheiner is a smoked sour. So sour and smoked.
Just live off this
Why,
nose.
I am a
It's
beer.
very
I'm
bright.
gonna tell you.
It's very bright.
Actual, it's
I expect it to be darker, like in flavor.
it's. I'm gonna keep drinking.
So the thing is, I
very
think
bright.
unintentionally the Schmulz brand was built on a paranoia and conspiracy theories. So, everybody was talking back then about mind controls, 5G, COVID lockdowns aimed to control the public and whatnot. And actually, my own way to process the radical depression that I got during COVID times, because in the restaurant business and beer business in Israel, you always have like these waves of ups and downs, and whenever you feel like you're on top, something just bashes you back to the ground. There's always something. It all, I think, depends on what trend you can make in the long run. But it was very tough on me. This beer just opened up for me the will to express my thoughts in the way that I like, which is brewing beer.
Mm-hmm.
So you have something heavy, something weird, something that carries a statement about conspiracy theories and weird thoughts.
It's also kind of dark too.
It is. It's
literally
dark in nature and in branding and whatnot. And it's kind of psychedelic.
In the visual, on the label.
Hey there, I wanted to break in. I hope you're enjoying the episodes so far. Actually, I hope you're enjoying all of the episodes, or at the very least, most of them. And if you haven't, and if this is your first episode, go check more of them out. But if you have been enjoying them, and if you enjoy the other resources that are shared at jewishdrinking.com, I hope you think about the opportunity of supporting the work that we do here and continue to do. Please feel free to visit jewishdrinking.com/donate, and you can help support the work and continue our mission and our vision of bringing l'chaims to life. Thank you so much, and now back into the show.
So continuing with the 5G Stone, I've made a beer, also a smoked beer called The Last Brunch,
Okay.
which was a heavier take on breakfast coffee stouts.
Oh yeah.
I didn't actually have coffee, but it was like a smoked, sweet, roasted beer. So it was kind of that, like, maple, meaty,
With coffee.
sausage-like coffee, but without the actual coffee.
Wow.
And
So no caffeine in that.
no caffeine.
Oh wow.
But this beer was sold out almost 3 months ago. And what we're drinking right now, which is the Hawaiian Pizza Lichtenheiner.
I've never even heard of a Lichtenheiner. What?
So it's German.
That I got, but
So there you go.
it's funny because even the Stein beer, when I had it 2 years ago, I never had a Stein beer before. I had one previous mushroom beer, but even this is an entirely new. Okay, so I have to tell you this. Even with the Stein beer, which is like I've had some Rauch beers, fine, but these styles aren't even. At least they might be found somewhere in America. Maybe. I know I've asked, I know this is not for international distribution, but have people brought, it's like the reverse of what all the Israelis do, bring beers from Europe and America back here. Have any Do you know of Americans toting these back stateside?
So, as I was brewing these, and I still had Biratenu on my hands, it actually exposed me to a lot of people from overseas,
Oh, yeah.
which was a whole market for me. And it was, I think, the best part for me
Yeah.
is people trying to stock up on my beers, on Israeli beers, and my specialty weird, stupid beers
Yeah.
to bring back home,
Yeah.
laughing,
Yeah.
carrying over to their guys overseas. Like,
Right.
dude, you have to check this out.
That's literally half of the booze I'm bringing back to America are like, you gotta check this out.
And this is fun, this is
Yeah.
fun. Because, as you said, like, this is the second time we're meeting, and it's the second beer that you haven't had that you were exposed to, the second style.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about it a little bit. I think it's like making sour beers, they hold spices, they hold flavors very well.
Mm.
And even though it's a 10%er, it's very drinkable in comparison to
a lot of other 10
beer.
percenters. Yeah.
And it's just shenanigans, So people have another theory that Earth is actually flat. I'm saying, well,
Still to this day.
yeah, and I'm saying, well, true, Earth is flat and round. It's a pizza. It's just a pizza tray,
That's the naming behind it.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, it's a pizza Earth theory. It's a whole theory that I have. I don't know if people share it, but you can see you can see some aliens on a pineapple ship, like bombarding Earth. And all of
Earth
the,
is represented as a pizza.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the continents are cheese, and they're oozing. They're oozing off to space, and I think it's just fun.
Okay.
Just having fun. I had the same designer.
Yeah. As your mushroom beer.
Gavolt Studio here in Jerusalem for these beers.
Well, how many total beers have been produced under your Schmulz label?
Yeah, under Schmulz label, there were 5 beers. Latest being a New England style IPA.
Okay.
They're, they go out very fresh, and they're much easier to drink and cheaper than the specialty beers. So they're gone.
Yeah.
But I'm contemplating now whether I should keep doing more crazy stuff, or just, overall good beers that people will love drinking. Because I do have the Hatch platform to do that, and I'm really glad for that, my space here. And also, my latest beer under the Schmulz brand is a baklava pastry beer.
Really?
Yeah. And this is like super sweet, heavily spiced, and people just, I guess like every other beer I made, half of them went like, whoa, it actually tastes like baklava, and the other half were like, I can't drink that, I'm sorry. And it's okay, I get it, but it makes you question what you're doing. Like, what's this beer's place in the beer market? Would you like to move
let's do it.
backwards to the beer
backwards
that
in
we've
time,
met
but
drinking?
Well, this is the 5G.
It is. This beer was boiled for 12 hours
The Stein
with
beer.
barbecues and granite stones in and out of the brewing kettle,
Wow.
back and forth. It was a very sportive day for me. It was a hectic night, actually, and also on the same barbecue, roasting some mix of mushrooms. And
But I also smell sweetness in addition to the earthy mushroomness and roastiness. But there's also the smoke.
Yeah.
I mean, there's also the sweetness.
Totally. This is what you get when you caramelize malt for 12 hours.
Wow.
So because you have granite stones around 600 degrees Celsius, which in Fahrenheit means a lot. And you just dump it in. We did like a special contraption, and we dumped it in the brewing kettle, and it went like boiling everything, and then we took it out.
Yeah.
And you have a layer of caramel on the stones, which you bring back to the barbecue and char.
Really?
And it gets soot in the beer and caramel and whatnot for 12 hours back and forth. And just nice display for everything on top, which are the mushrooms and malt profile. I think it's amazing. It tastes like kind of a marshmallow.
Oh, marshmallow, really? Oh, so remarkably smooth, too. It's ridiculously smooth. Even the Stein beers, that's not a common style. As far as I know, maybe in Germany it is. I don't know. I've literally never even heard of a Stein beer before I had.
I think there are two in the world, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably more.
The historical need for them has changed. There was a point where this was a method of boiling, right?
Okay.
This is how you boiled it in a wooden vessel.
Okay.
Pre-stainless steel.
Yeah, fair.
Right? When you had a wooden vessel, you wanted to boil the product.
Mm.
Like, I know we used to do it growing up. We would do this when we wanted to kosher the stuff for Pesach.
Yeah.
Drop the stone in, right? It boils up and overflows.
Yeah. When did you come over to Hatch? / Ephraim, how did you get Schmulz to come here?
September.
September 2022?
Yeah. And
Okay.
I just
So how did that, was that a conversation? Like,
we had a lot of conversation about collaborating a lot of times. We were good
Yeah.
friends way before then.
yeah.
And
Well, it was brewing here. So, like, we have this whole branch of contract brews that we do for breweries. And what we do is we make a lot of the weirdest beers that are being
The
produced under many
entirety
different
of
labels.
Israel. Yeah.
No, but 4 other labels. Like
Yeah.
a beer that just came out out of Beer Sheva called Shesh Plus.
Uh-huh.
Also, like a fantastic beer that had a crazy reception. They came here to brew it.
Huh.
So the brewers that wanted involvement in the process, that wanted a brewing process where we stripped all the minerals out of the water and wrote a new mineral profile for every single beer. Like people that wanted
Wow.
to do that would come in here, including Shmuel.
Wow.
We were local for Shmuel also.
Mhm.
He lives like 1 minute from here, but people are coming from Beer Sheva as well to produce and other places as well. We felt so lucky to be making Schmulz's beers because as this, like with this ethos of connect to craft, like we love everything about craft. We love being near other craftsmen.
Mm.
And the fact that the wild, crazy, obsessive craftsmen want to come to us to make their products, for us is so exciting. We love being near it. We love being part of it. We love advising where needed. Being a place where the culture of craft is really able to grow in is for us like so exciting.
yeah, and it's like from my perspective as a brewer who was brewing his beers here, it was just natural because when I talked to every other brewery, they were like, "No, I'm not going to do that. We're not able to do that. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do that."
Yeah.
And at Hatch, they told me, "Yeah, you can slip at the tank if you want. It's yours." And
That's
it was
great.
just natural to make the crazy stuff
Mhm.
and to brew in a place in which you believe
Mhm.
that you can actually control your product, which for
Oh,
me,
wow.
as a non-brewery, not a brewery owner, but owning a beer brand.
Experimenter, tinkerer, right?
Yeah, but it was important to me to get something very specific that I can get behind
Hmm.
as a product, as a beer maker and a brand. And now working for Hatch, being at the other side, for me, it completes the picture of being able to provide that to other people and to the core brand, which is striving for more, knowing you don't know everything, trying to be each day better than you were before, and providing just the best possible setup for more brands to come brew with us.
Wow.
Because it's just, mutually we can learn so much from each other and just fun. If I'm waking up doing something I like doing, I can keep on doing that and improving. It's the best. You basically earn your life.
I would say that over time we did develop some rules, like no more Tina in the beers.
Hey there, I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. Wanted to let you know this is not the only episode focusing on Israel. Earlier this summer, I went to Israel. That's right, and even better, I also drank in Israel and found out what's going on. So I sat down with people to talk about beer, wine, and whiskey. What's going on in Israel these days? It's all part of a Toast to Israel at 75 series we've got going on. These 6 episodes are all available. You can find them at different places, but you can also check them out, jewishdrinking.com/Israel Toast 75. I hope you're checking them out. L'chaim, now back into the episode.
Bringing on Schmulz, I'm assuming Schmulz is elevated since September 2022, bringing him on board. He's elevated the brand, right?
Oh man, I could not have been happier that Shmuel came to work for us.
Yeah.
I very actively did not poach Shmuel because I would
Really?
have loved for him to come a year earlier.
Wow.
But he was working for a friend, and it's a craft beer scene that's young and trying its best thrive, and like I wouldn't want someone to be poaching my workers.
Yeah.
So we did hold back until Shmuel decided that it was 100% ready for the next step. It was a question of where. So then we started to concretize that in a more real way. The brewery has really blossomed with Shmuel's guidance. Our quality has gone up. Our consistency has gone up. Our creativity has gone up.
Yeah.
Our consistency of creativity has gone up.
Oh, okay.
We are producing 2 new beers a month that are labeled and on the shelves.
You were
Right.
not. It was not the same output prior to Schmulz
In
joining.
terms of the amount of turnover of fresh,
Of new-
of new beers, no, not even close. And there's no one in the country doing it on this level.
Mhm.
Meaning the only brewery that's producing anywhere close to the amount of new releases than us is Schnitt, who might be an interesting brewery to see in Jerusalem, in Tel Aviv. But
Okay.
they're a brew pub. They are only on draft.
Oh, okay.
So they're not bottling.
Mhm.
This level of new beers being bottled
For distribution.
is for distribution is not paralleled anywhere in the country. And that's
Wow.
a lot because of Shmuel's ability to keep generating these new beers and just keep this momentum up. It
Wow.
also allows Yisrael, who's the brewery manager, who's amazing. They just like a perfect dynamic.
Mhm.
And it's really, really a cool
Dynamic.
dynamic.
Yeah.
We're never salespeople. Like that's just not what drove us. We were driven by craft and
Mhm.
not by money.
Mhm.
And we just a month ago hired our first sales manager. Actually, start
Wow.
like trying to actively sell our product to people. We only sold for the first 3 years reactively.
Really?
Like you called us for beer, we would give you beer. Which
So not approaching bar or
we never went to
you're-
bars. We
you're not
never went
looking
to
for taps.
stores.
You're
we
not
never-
looking for taps.
We didn't. Now we are. Now we're happy to put taps on in the right places.
And
the
also
right
looking
line.
for shelf space too, right?
Yeah, ideally in the right places though as well,
Uh-huh,
in the places that care about their beer of a certain
Mhm.
clientele. But on shelf space we'll put anywhere, but also the right bars. We just opened a new bar last month called Hamifletzet, which is a bar in Kiryat Yovel, community bar that's collectively owned by the people in the community.
If someone were to visit Israel, such as myself, but maybe other listeners, any places you would like to suggest or otherwise recommend people visit?
I, as an Israeli, like to travel up north, and you have some distilleries there also, which is not directly brewing, but they're great. And you also have some breweries there. Mivshalet HaGalil, Mivshalet HaGolan, Fas, really way up north. 2 brothers. They have a brew pub. It's very nice. Emek Ha'ela Valley is a great place to be in Israel. You have a lot of breweries, wineries, cheesemakers, everything there. They say Emek Ha'ela is the Israel.
Israeli Tuscany. Thank
There
you so
you
much,
go.
Shmuel.
It is Israeli Tuscany. I think something exciting is happening. You can already see it happening, and it's international beer brewing collaborations. We here in Hatch also want to do that. We contacted some breweries in Europe to collaborate, and hopefully we'll have a follow-up on that very soon.
Hey there, I wanted to break in yet again. Although I asked for support in financial ways because it does cost some money to make the hosting happen and other aspects of Jewish drinking happen. So your financial support is definitely appreciated. And don't forget, you can go to jewishdrinking.com/donate. But also, another way of supporting the show and everything that Jewish Drinking does is also to tell your friends, tell your neighbors. If you like this content, if you like this show, maybe people also like it. So feel free to let them know, hey, I have this interesting episode I heard, or a few episodes, or whatever it is, or even a few clips. Feel free to share with your friends. All right, thank you so much. Now back into the show.
All right, really fascinatingly, I already heard a couple years back, Schmulz, when I was last here, about a beer that had been in partnership with archaeologists, about a multi-thousand-year yeast found in pottery, and you brewed up a batch. But just a week ago, I read a Times of Israel piece and I now drank this new beer in partnership with the Israel Museum. But it's a collaborative project to bring back literally 3,000-year-old yeast found in Palestinian pottery to contemporary drinkers what has been your role in the production of those products?
Actually, I remember I started taking a part in that during the times of the old beer tennis, so it had to be like 5 years back or more.
Wow.
The guys from the lab came to me, Dr. Wanan Khazan, which is the biologist, part of biology in that project, and you also have people in the archaeology, which haven't been really in all the brewing part, but they're
It's like multidisciplinary. It's both archaeology and also like microbiology.
Amazing people, such smart people. Itai Helfman, formerly from Herzl Brewery.
He was the other guy Herzl Brewery, the guy that we were drinking with.
Oh,
We
okay.
mentioned him before. He was at
Yeah.
He was the.
So he introduced me to them as the mead guy because they they have extracted what seemed to be like mead making yeast from Persian pottery from Ramat Rachel nearby.
Wow.
Just near us.
Uh-huh.
From 2,400 years ago. And you also tested 5,000 old Egyptian yeast, but they never made it past the pilot brews. And they came to me like, what are we doing with this? How do we make mead? And I was also selling the equipment to make beer, so I provided them with the means of experimenting. So we started collaborating, and then we started testing like yeast, in different medias and mediums.
Yeah. And that was all pre-pandemic that you were playing around with it.
Yeah.
And there was like a very small release to a very limited public. It was not for commercial sale at the time.
It was actually the university was their financial part of it was such a mess. They didn't know how to go through that, so they were just experimenting with how to launch it. So it took like 3 years after we had a product.
Right, because university is not in the business of selling products. Right?
There is a whole part of university that is, apparently.
Wow.
But they weren't that good at that. But after a while, we did like 2 launches. The first one was actually at Biratenu, and then they moved it to Shikma Brewery, which had more finance to provide, more coverage for the whole project. So what you had
that just came out a week ago. It's a Belgian style. It's like a light Belgian style Dubel.
Because it's not a Belgian style.
Like Belgian style. It's like 5.5%.
Yeah, I'm saying that because it's interesting because the whole research was about showing that these yeasts are not from a contamination like from the brewers from the archaeologist's beard or something, but it was actually from dormant cells within the pottery, within the clay. But it tastes like a Belgian homebrew or something like that.
It's incredible. It's very drinkable.
For me, I was not that involved. I remember just my involvement was the initial sensory analysis sessions where they would make the beers and they would ask us to kind of judge what are we tasting.
We would drink for science.
Of course.
Someone had to do it. Someone had to do it, So that was us, what I like to call the Jerusalem Brewing Syndrome, and no one else called the Jerusalem Brewing Syndrome, was Avengers Unite, everyone come, let's taste these beers. So that was part of my involvement and got my name on the original study because of that. And at least one of the beers Itai asked me to brew, because at some point they identified that it was the same, is similar genetically to a beer currently being produced in Zimbabwe using sorghum. So we made a sorghum beer to kind of chase that lead down.
Which is gluten-free, right?
It was actually,
Was that the Pombe?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Pombe East.
I was not involved enough to know what you're talking about. I was just brewing beers and tasting beers. As he went like this. Itai would call me, "Can you make a beer for me?" "Yes." "Okay. When?" "When you want. On Friday. I'm coming." "Great. Let's brew." I wasn't so involved in it. I loved Itai, and Itai's an amazing brewer, an amazing human being, and he was like an inspirational force for me. So I was just following along and doing what I'm told. But it was a really cool project, and I hope it goes really cool places.
Awesome.
Sounds like it is going cool places. Drew, this was fun.
As we're wrapping up, before we go, Ephraim, is there anything you'd like to promote?
Be kind to yourself. No, I'm just kidding. We have a website, hatchbrewery.co.il. We deliver beer all over Israel. We have our 2 locations, Hatch in the Machne Yehuda Shuk. Definitely hit us up. We also have Schmulz, our deli Ramat Eshkol. That is how to come taste our beers. I guess at some point we'll probably export it to the US. So if you're like listening to this and you're like an importer, you're like, I need this, so reach out to us.
Importers do listen.
Importers do listen. I wonder if all of your listeners are importers. Like,
No, it's not.
what if it's all the business people like, we need new information on producers?
But I've talked to importers.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
so at some point we'll get there and figure out the economics of shipping water across water and figure out how to make that work.
It's alcohol-nated water.
Okay. It's mostly water.
All right.
And Schmulz, what do you want to produce?
All right, Schmulz, is there anything
So-
you would like to promote?
Yeah, for sure. So always support your local brewers and look for Primers Yeast online. So the yeast we just talked about are going to be for sale very soon, I hope. So it's going to be a thing.
Awesome. And guys, thank you so much, Ephraim and Schmulz.
Thank you, Drew.
With that,
Smash that
L'chaim.
like button, smash that subscribe button, 5 stars on Apple. What are all the things supposed to say
I
in
have no
podcasts?
idea.
Here, you got to say all the
Here,
things.
L'chaim, let's all do
L'chaim.
Here we go. Thank you guys, and L'chaim. L'chaim. All right.
That would have cracked.